in this video going to talk about Mercury retrograde because we are just a few days away from our second Mercury retrograde of this year. And I'm also going to talk you through a spell that you can do if you feel inspired to do that. So what is Mercury retrograde, first of all, if you don't know? It's when a planet appears to be going backwards. It's not actually moving backwards, but it just appears to be traveling backwards. It's kind of slowing down. So really this is a time for us to slow down, to go within, to take some time to reflect on things. So Mercury is the planet of communication, the way we express ourselves. So around this time, it affects communication, it affects things like travel, also technology, and, you know, these things, sometimes we can experience a bit of disruption. So travel disruptions. I normally find that, especially on the day that Mercury is going direct, or sometimes even the week leading up to the retrograde, the energies can be quite intense. So I normally really feel it the most during that time, which is now. So when we're in the, what they call the pre-shadows phase. So, you know, you might find yourself getting stuck in traffic, maybe, and like electrical appliances tend to break down. Emails get lost somewhere in the ethers. You might be sat waiting for somebody to reply to you for ages and, you know, they're not getting back to you, or your iPhone or iPad or something starts playing up suddenly. So it's things like that. And also Mercury retrograde is not really a time to start anything new. So now is not the time to think of starting new projects or signing new contracts or entering a new relationship. These are things that we're advised to kind of hold off doing until Mercury goes direct, which for this one isn't until the 12th of July. So save all the new stuff, new plans until then. But however, if there is something that you perhaps started a while ago and you never really finished it, it's been left unfinished, then, you know, if you feel inspired to go back and finish that task or that project now, then that's usually fine. So anything with the word, sort of the operative word being re. So if you're revisiting something from the past around this time, is normally okay. So, you know, resume, revisit, revamp, rewind, remember, rekindle, reconnect, restore. So that's kind of, you know, okay, because things that you have already continued, you know, it's kind of just things that you've started and you may want to kind of continue now, is usually okay. So, and the thing is, what is interesting about this at this time is where a lot of things like businesses and stuff have been put on hold over the last few months because of the lockdown. And we're now kind of coming out of that and things are easing off. So it would be interesting to see how that all plays out during this Mercury retrograde phase. So Mercury governs the area of trade and commerce, so the exchange of money and goods and services. So over the last few months, we've seen that a lot of businesses had to shut shop, and now we're seeing them kind of starting to resume business, to reopen. And also Mercury is the planet of communication. So that's about bridging the gap between two sides. So it represents our need for connection. and over the last few months, we've, you know, some of us haven't seen family members and friends for a long time, and our loved ones. So we might now start to see a lot of people now reconnecting with each other. And also, it's not uncommon for people that you may not have even heard from for a very long time may suddenly contact you and get in touch, because it's all about revisiting the past. So, you know, often you do experience like a blast from the past around this time as well. Education also belongs to Mercury, and particularly early years education, so primary education. So it'd be interesting to see, you know, with obviously children now returning back to school slowly, to see how that develops during the Mercury retrograde period. Obviously, the effects of Mercury does depend on where it sits in relationship to the other planets. So, and the other thing is that it doesn't always affect everybody in the same way, because, I mean, you could be somebody that's worked out a lot of your stuff in the areas that it normally affects. So in that case, you may not really experience some of the challenges that others do. And also, if you are born under the sign of, if you're born, sorry, under a Mercury retrograde, then as well, it may affect you differently. It may be that it doesn't affect you at all. But as I'm not an astrologer, I don't really know the specifics of that. But for this particular Mercury retrograde, it's happening in the sign of Cancer. Now, Cancer is a water sign, so it's very emotional, it's intuitive, and it's creative as well. So actually, this could be a really good time to get in touch with your creativity. So expressing yourself in a different way, you know, through writing, through drawing, sketching, using your hands, which are connected to your heart. Cancer is the sign of the mother, so it's very mothering and very nurturing as well. And it's all about, you know, close relationships, family and home life. So that's kind of the area of focus, I think, for this particular retrograde. Now, if Cancer isn't too careful, it can get easily hurt, easily offended, because it is very emotional. So if it isn't very balanced, then it could allow its emotions to take over rational thought. And in close relationships, this can lead to a lot of dramas. So that's really what to kind of be aware of during this time. So I've created a spell that I'm going to talk you through now, and I'll just, first of all, I'll tell you what you need for this spell. So you're going to need, so candles, a green one and a blue one. The green one is to symbolize relationships, and the blue one is for communication. Now, if you don't have a blue and green candle, then you could use a pink one, because pink one is symbolic for love and relationships as well. So it's a good one to use. If you don't have any of those colored candles, then it really doesn't matter. Use whatever candles you've got, because what's most important is the intention, is that the intention is there. Right, next, what you're going to need is some dried basil, some lavender flower, so that's dried lavender flower, and some myrrh. So you're also going to need a charcoal disc as well, and either a cauldron or a heat-proof container of some kind that you can burn your charcoal disc in, and you will need a pen and a paper. So the spell. So what you're going to do first of all is, now let me explain what the intention for this spell is. So the intention for this spell is to create harmony in our close relationships, so that we don't allow our emotions to take over and cause drama in them, but instead we practice communication that is open, that is balanced, and that is healthy. Yeah, so where there's mutual understanding between people. So that's the intention for this spell. It serves to basically repair the relationship, or to even restore relationships. So really it's a good time to practice forgiveness as well. So first of all, you're going to get your pen and paper and just write down all of the issues that may have come to your awareness in the days leading up to the retrograde. Now, although I would say the best time to do this spell is on the day when Mercury actually goes retrograde, I don't really think that that's necessary for this spell. If you're only discovering this video during the retrograde period, then that's also fine to still do the spell then. And obviously any issues that would have come up for you up until that point, you know, you can jot them all down on a piece of paper. So any challenges, any difficulties that you've been experiencing in any of your relationships with people, or it may not even be relationships with people, it could just be people that you communicate with on social media, it could be people you encounter at work, wherever it is, just jot all of those issues down, get it all down on a piece of paper first. Then you're going to light your candles, and if you've got some candle holders, so just put the candles in those and then place them on top of your piece of paper. If you don't have candle holders, then just set them aside next to your piece of paper that you've got everything written on. Then you are going to get your ingredients, so your dried basil, your myrrh and your lavender, and you're going to put them in a pestle and mortar and grind them down. And as you're grinding them in a clockwise direction, and at the same time you're going to visualize communicating with either a specific person, if you've got a specific person in mind that you want the spell to be for, or just people, anybody in general. So just, you know, visualize that communication going really well, going smoothly, going how you want it to go. Open, honest, healthy communication where there's mutual respect and mutual understanding between you and them. And really feel into that as you're doing your visualization and you're grinding your ingredients down. And then when you've done that, then you're going to get your charcoal disc that I showed you. I did show you that, didn't I? If I didn't, then here it is, your charcoal disc. So what you're going to do is you're going to set that alight. So if you haven't used one before, really you've got to be quite careful with these because they get quite hot and, you know, sparks fly. So use a pair of tongs or something, and then you're going to put that into your cauldron or your heat-proof container, whatever you're using, and then you're going to place your ingredients that you ground down on top of your charcoal disc and just let that burn like incense. And while that's burning, you can then go into a meditation where you quiet your mind and just go inward and reflect on those issues that you've written down. You might want to go into a visualization again, you know, continue your visualization that you were doing. You might want to go deeper into that and do that for a few moments, or do it for as long as you feel guided to do it. And then when that's done, then you are going to speak these words. So you're going to say, I will also put this down below in the description box. So you're going to say, I invite the light of the divine to come into the darkness of Mercury. May I stay conscious and clear in my communication with others. Or you can specify the person that you're focusing this spell on. May my thoughts, my words and my emotions be guided by my heart. I ask Spirit for my challenges to be lifted to the light and transmuted, bringing me the blessings of Mercury. So mote it be. And then you will set your paper alight using the flame of the candle you're using and just let it burn. And obviously burn it safely in a sink or in your heat-proof container is fine, just as long as you are being careful. And then that's it, your spell is complete. And then as you progress through the retrograde period, if you do experience any challenges or difficulties in your communications with loved ones, then just ask the universe to bring in its light and just to lift the challenges out of the darkness and into the light. So I hope you enjoyed that. I really wish you a smooth Mercury retrograde. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really do hope you like it, and I'll see you soon.